Hi, welcome back to Healthy Happy Hour. I'm Angela Berg, nurse practitioner here at Care for the Kids Foundation. Thanks for joining us again as we navigate the topics that are challenging so many of us in taking care of our families and our children during special times. We've been concentrating lately on understanding insurance benefits, resources, how insurance works, and a big part of how insurance works is pharmacy benefits. So for today's conversation, I couldn't think of a better person to bring on with me than Catherine, who is our outpatient pharmacy manager here at Care for the Kids, who you and I have regular conversations and work navigating the system to get authorizations to get special medicines for our kids. So I thought this was a good place for us to just have one of our conversations where we talk about some of our subjects that might be common terminology to you and I, not so common to people who don't navigate insurance regularly. And I thought maybe we would start by just really talking about formularies, because I think people have gotten a little more used to the term formulary, but they understand that insurance have formularies that are the rules. You can have these and only these, but there's a lot more to formularies because hospitals have to have a formulary, insurance companies have a formulary, specialty pharmacies have a formulary. We have a formulary here, and there are reasons to have a formulary, some good, some not so good. And so will you start off talking a little bit about explaining maybe to people who don't know what formularies are?
Yes.
What kind of things we need to know about a formulary?
So a formulary, just in its basic definition, is the list of medications that are covered by your insurance, or in the case of a clinic, the list of medications that are covered in the clinic. Same with the hospital. But from there, it gets trickier. What your hospital has on their formulary may not match what your doctor's office has on their formulary, and doesn't match what the insurance has on their formulary. And like you said, there's different reasons why each place selects that formulary. It's a necessary evil, unfortunately. That's the best way I can phrase it. And how insurance typically works is they take their formulary and it goes into tiers. So most insurances have 3 tiers, but they're adding more, 4th and 5th and so on. Usually start with the basic. Tier 1 is your generic drugs that are covered by the insurance. That's usually your lowest cost. Then you will move on to Tier 2, which is preferred drugs, but they're brand names, which means they cost a little bit more, but they're still preferred by the insurance. You'll pay a little bit higher of a copay. They're still covered. You're good.
I think an important thing too to know about those is that sometimes there is a period of time, the way that drugs are licensed in the United States, where only that name brand is available. And so I feel as a consumer sometimes kind of slighted that I have to have Tier 2, but that's the only one available. It's not even available in a Tier 1. So that's something to
and we can touch real quick, segue into the difference between brand and generics. And the way brand name works is the manufacturer who developed the product, who spent a really long time and a lot of money in research and development, patents it, gives it a nice catchy name, makes commercials with people frolicking in the grass, and that's your brand name. And it's patented for a certain period of time. And it is more expensive than, say, a generic version. So it will wind up in Tier 2 as a preferred brand, and you will have to pay a little more. There just isn't a generic available. And that's what happens there. When their patent runs out, that's when anybody can make the drugs. You have generic drugs. They're cheaper. They usually go by the chemical name. There's no commercials of people frolicking in the grass, and it is a little bit cheaper. And that's your Tier 1. Then, of course, you have your Tier 3. And now we're talking non-preferred brand names. So these are drugs, either they have a generic so they're not paying for the brand name, or there's other drugs in that category that do have a generic, so they prefer to pay for that one. And those are usually your highest copays. Sometimes those Tier 3 drugs will require prior authorization, or they'll require what we call step therapy. What step therapy means is the insurance wants you to try something cheaper first. It's that simple.
In rheumatology, I deal with that all the
Steroids.
time, and that's one
Yeah.
of those advocacy issues we have
Yes.
to fight all the time, that sometimes step therapy is not appropriate. We need to be able to make a
Exactly.
clinical judgment to
Yes.
say, no, we
not gonna
can't
work.
start here. We got to start here because this is bad.
Yes.
And that's something that I think probably the general public hears us talk about, sometimes not really knowing what
that means.
that actually means.
Yeah.
And it's a challenge.
And then from there, if say you did step therapy and it didn't work, or we don't have time for step therapy, or it's not appropriate for this patient, that's the prior authorization process, which is just way too simple of a term for what actually happens. So it is the insurance company wants to know what you're prescribing, why you're prescribing it. They want your labs, they want notes, they want to know why you have to have this drug.
And why the $5 drug wouldn't work.
Wouldn't work,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Then once you submit that, this is the part that a lot of people, I think, need to understand. It's really insurance company dependent. Sometimes we get those back same day, but I've seen them take 1 week, 2 weeks, and the more specialized the medication, it can take even longer. So unfortunately, there's a lot of patients involved when you put in for a prior authorization.
Right.
There are options if that prior authorization gets denied, which of course just drags out the process even further, but at least we have those options. Usually what we do after that, if it's denied, is we put in an appeal. So our doctors write a letter of why this is necessary. And then of course they can deny that too. And we move on to something called peer-to-peer. I think our patients have heard that term and may not be sure exactly what it means, but it means that our provider meets with a supposed peer, another doctor, a pharmacist, somebody who understands, and just pleads their case. And again, this whole process can take a month. I've seen it take a month.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's...
I think I just completed or attempted to complete a peer-to-peer this morning of one that already has been 3 weeks in the works, which then, as a provider makes me crazy, because then I'm saying, you realize we're causing damage while you and I are chatting, we're causing damage. And that can be really stressful. Families need to understand that we have a team. We've talked about the village that we've built at Care for the Kids, because it takes a village to support these kids and families through what they're going through. And so we have this team for this very reason. These barriers are put in place that otherwise, how on earth would a parent ever have to navigate? I can't imagine a parent trying to navigate authorizations themselves. And then you and I recently have had a conversation about then some of our specialty drugs that go beyond that tier 3 are, some of these insurances are starting to put tier 4 and 5 in place for some of these specialty medications that are infusions.
And you have something called biosimilars that has been thrown into the mix. And what a biosimilar is not exactly a generic, but it's a similar scenario when the patent runs out on the original product of these biologic specialty drugs. And they're called biologics because they're derived from a biologic source, like a protein or an antibody, something. So when those patents expire, you can't replicate an identical copy because of the way it's made. The best you can do is make something similar, hence the term biosimilar. But for our patients who do have to take these biosimilars, I want to reassure them that there is rigorous testing involved, and they do have to demonstrate that their efficacy and safety and all that is equal. But now you have your insurances who, I prefer this biosimilar, I prefer that biosimilar. Sometimes we have patients who switch insurances and they've been steady on something, and the new insurance has a different biosimilar on their formulary. So it's navigating that gets a little tricky also.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That's important, the generic similar to generic.
Similar.
Biosimilar, it's very, biosimilar is very specific to the biologic meds, which in our specialty care is a growing amount of, in the oncology patients, they're using biologics, and biologics are a bigger class of drugs than ever in our autoimmune disease populations too.
Yes.
What about, let's talk about how those benefits, we've had challenges before where we've had families without insurance, and we certainly use discount cards, but I know that there are some restrictions too that we have come across in being able to use a discount card and your insurance at the same time, and that gets a little bit sticky. Can you talk a little bit about what the rules are around being able to use those discounts?
Goes. No. So a lot of the specialty medications, you will have what the company calls copay assistance, and it's because you wind up with the highest tier of copays. Sometimes you'll get a prior authorization approved, and then the patient's like, great, and they go to the pharmacy and it's $1,000. But that's where these copay assistance plans come in, and you can usually sign up for them right on the manufacturer's website. The problem comes in with generic drugs. Once something goes generic, you usually lose that copay assistance because it's now kind of a free-for-all.
We lose the ability to even sample those. We used to be able to sample and initiate therapy in the office with some of these, and now that biosimilars are out, they're not providing those samples of that name anymore because chances are high that you're not going to be able to use their medication.
And then the other issue is if you have a government-issued insurance plan, like your TRICARE, military, you often can't use these copay cards in addition to your copay.
Oh, that makes it tough. That makes it so tough for families. That you and I had worked on a little bit of a list. I have some of those things written down, and you have some of those things. I want to make sure that we don't miss any of the... We had so much that we've talked about in just the last couple of weeks, probably, that we've talked about, that I want to make sure we don't miss things. Do you have anything on your list as we're talking?
I have a few keywords that people hear bounced around, like copay versus coinsurance.
Oh, yeah.
And they are two different things.
Yeah.
A copay is usually a fixed amount. And you'll see stuff like Tier 1 drugs is a $5 copay, Tier 2 is $10, Tier 3 is $30. But coinsurance is where you're paying a percentage. So say your coinsurance is 20%, the drug's $100, you're paying $20, and the insurance is picking up $80. So those are two different things. And with coinsurance, that gets a little hairy when you're talking about these really expensive specialty drugs that can cost thousands of dollars.
So when people are looking at their pharmacy benefits to choose an insurance plan, it's important to know is your tiered plan a flat copay or is it a percent coinsurance? Because percent can get some of these biologic medications, for example, are between $5,000 and $20,000 a month for these medications. Some of the infusion medicines even higher. So I think that is something to definitely consider, especially if you would have a restriction of any sort of copay assistance. Yeah, important. There's also out-of-pocket maximums that we have to talk about.
Yeah, so deductible and out-of-pocket maximums. Deductible is just you have to pay X amount before the insurance starts picking up and you go to your copays. Out-of-pocket maximums is the maximum amount that the insurance will allow you to pay out of pocket.
Before then they pay the rest.
Exactly.
Okay, good.
Yes, so that goes there.
Those good benefits to know.
Yep. And then there's little things that people should know. The insurances often do coverage limits. So you have, I'm going to give examples because that's the best way to explain it. You have Zofran, which is an anti-nausea drug. Most insurances will limit that, and they'll say you're allowed 9 tablets every 30 days. Well, 9 tablets every 30 days is not cutting it if you're going through chemo. So that involves the prior authorization process. Or something like lidocaine, which is a numbing cream. They say 1 tube every month. That's it. Well, it depends on how often we have to access a child's port. 1 tube might not be enough. So again, you're talking the prior authorization process. So when
With
someone
that
says,
example, I want to bring up that people don't realize
Yes.
that 4% lidocaine cream is available over the counter
Yes, it
and
is.
is shown clinically superior to the quadruple the price combination product that's prescription only. So I tell people, when you are taking your children for their vaccines or any painful pokey procedure like that, we have the technology available to put the 4% lidocaine on. 4% lidocaine only needs 30 minutes.
And the combo
so
needs
here
an
is
hour.
my, yes, the combo needs a minimum of an hour.
Yeah.
30 minutes, and if you leave it on for 60, it's just that much better. But that is available over the counter in the U.S. And so many of my colleagues, when I go to pain and integrative medicine, things are like, why doesn't everybody realize that they can use this 4% lidocaine on their children in the U.S.? We beg for it in other countries and they don't have it.
You absolutely
But, so,
can. The
yeah.
only time it comes up as an issue is if money's an issue.
Yeah.
The combination product is covered by insurance. The over-the-counter product is not.
Versus the nice thing though is that over-the-counter is available in the store brands now, so it's $5.
It's cheap, yeah.
Yeah,
It is cheap.
it's cheap. It's $5. So
Yes,
it's
it is.
as easy as a most tier one copays.
And, and we like to knock on insurance companies a little bit, but they have a point. It's should they pay $30 for this cream when you can buy this one for $5 over the counter? And
that's true.
That's the idea. Besides these formularies and these tiers, they want to make sure that, yes, they want the patient taken care of, but in the most cost-effective manner.
Yes, which is core to Care for the Kids, is that we are masters at figuring out how to make 5 cents stretch into $1. And that's how we've grown to what we're doing. I mean, doing cost-effective care that makes sense at the same time is the core of what we do here. So it is important that we think of all of those things together. What other kind of things have we talked about in the last couple of weeks,
I'm trying to think, make sure we didn't miss anything good. I talked about the different tiers.
Some over-the-counter things. Because over-the-counter challenges us a lot. With
it does.
Lidocaine being one of the examples. Tylenol, one of the things that never ceases to amaze me is that people still don't know that ibuprofen, Motrin, and Advil are all the same thing. And so I always think when we're talking about pharmacy anything, we should take the opportunity to say acetaminophen is the same as Tylenol, and it has been shown to be the same. How Tylenol is still, there must be a lot of people that still buy Tylenol name brand and think that they have to, because it's still out there full on the shelves.
Generic works exactly the same way.
But ibuprofen, Advil, Motrin is so confusing to people, but it is all the same medication. And so it's important for people to know the store brand ibuprofen, and they all still come the same way. 200 milligram tablets or 100 milligram per 5 ml of the liquid.
And you even have the store brands making the gel caps and the different dosage forms. Buy the store
immediate release.
Just buy the store brand.
Buy the store brand. It is okay. It is okay, and it is just as effective.
I have a house full of generics.
Yes, me too. Well, I tell you, Catherine, I know you and I are going to have many more conversations to come, and I appreciate so much you being able to take the time to come and share with the Healthy Happy Hour viewers some tips about how to save money, how to understand the insurance benefits, and how we can help navigate, and that we're well versed in helping to navigate, and that we are going to always have their best interest at heart as we navigate through these, and tell them sometimes if there might be a better avenue to go. So thank you so much for joining me today and sharing with us. And that'll do it for another episode of Healthy Happy Hour with us. Stay tuned for our next episode. We'll be coming soon. And as always, stay healthy, stay happy, and we'll be here and see you when we have our next episode. Thanks so much.
international.